The Armchair Survivalist here again to talk to you about one of my other favorite subjects, and that's guns. And this here is my personal get the hell up out my house weapon of choice, my Island Armory 1911 A1. This is the government model, the 5-inch barrel. We'll go ahead and do our safety check. As you can see, empty chamber. I have the magazine set aside. Okay, so for anybody that knows pistols, they probably know about the 1911, but here's just a little bit of history. It was given to us by John Moses Browning. It was the standard issue sidearm of our U.S. Army from 1911 to 1985. It is still in use today by many special force units and a lot of law enforcement agencies and competitive shooters. It was originally chambered for the 45 ACP, however today you can find it in many other chamberings, including 9mm, 40mm, and a few specialty cartridges like the 460 Roland and the 45 Super. Now when you're looking for a pistol, you're looking for a few things. Number one priority for me is reliability. The 1911 has been around for 100 years and it has hardly changed in design whatsoever. That tells you that it's very reliable. It's been used in a lot of wars and a lot of competitions and by a lot of law enforcement agencies. If there was a problem with reliability, we would know about it, okay? These are great weapons. The only problem comes when people customize the gun to the hilt and they send it to the wrong guy to do the work. Tolerances become too tight and the gun starts just not running the way it should. Straight out of the box, a gun like this is straight government issue type of weapon. This thing runs. It runs great. Stopping power is another concern. Now, there are no magic bullets. The handgun is definitely smaller than a rifle. It's not going to stop people like a rifle will. So for me, I try to carry a large caliber. That's the reason why I chose 45 ACP. Now a lot of people consider the 45 ACP to be overkill or they can't handle it. They say it kicks too much. Let me show you something. I'm not a gun expert, but I have found one thing. If you hold your weapon correctly, you do not have a problem with recoil. Most people grab a gun like this. Okay, that's the comfortable way to hold the gun. I understand that. But guess what? Where's that recoil going? It's going to bend out to your wrist, to your back part of your thumb right here. The proper way to hold a weapon is to line it up with your wrist bone right there. That way the recoil goes straight back into your arm. Okay? If you hold it correctly, you will mitigate most of the recoil. And I've proven this by taking my 15-year-old niece out to the gun range. She's 5 foot tall, weighs 90 pounds, folks. She had absolutely no problem handling this weapon and keeping the shots on target. None whatsoever, as long as she was holding the weapon correctly. So don't give me this crap about how recoil is too much for the 45. It is not. The next thing you're looking for in a pistol is accuracy. The reason why competitive shooters and law enforcement agencies and special forces use a weapon like the 1911 is because it is extremely accurate. One of the reasons why this weapon is so accurate is because of the trigger. This is what sold me on the 1911. The 1911 is a single action trigger. That means when the gun is cocked and cycled, the trigger only has to be moved just very slightly. Okay? There is not a lot of trigger movement involved to get this gun to go off. Now I don't have the tools to measure the weight of pull on this particular trigger for this particular weapon. But all I know is that trigger, it's easy. It's very easy. It's easy to keep the gun on target when you're pulling that trigger. Now I had a Glock 21. It was a great weapon and it was extremely accurate. But the trigger pull and the length of pull of that trigger, it was just, it was hard to keep it on target. The gun would move while I was pulling the trigger. I don't have that problem with a single action. That's one of the reasons why I chose it. Okay, this particular 1911, the Island Armory, for me, it's been extremely accurate. It's been easy handling. The maintenance is easy. It's very concealable. You can see, just like every other 1911, it's extremely thin. I throw it in the holster, in waistband holster, throw a shirt over it, I'm good to go. And it has tons of aftermarket. 1911s are 1911s, pretty much regardless of who makes it. So the aftermarket is huge, huge for these guns. You can buy anything you can think of. Now when I first got the weapon, I pulled it out of the box, wiped it down a little bit. I did not break it down, I just wiped it down. Went straight to the range, put about 100 rounds to it. Now I had 2 failures to chamber. However, when I took it apart when I got home to clean it, I figured out really why. It had a bunch of grease in it, okay? It was oiled and greased up for storage. I should have cleaned it before I took it out. Since I've cleaned it, since I've taken it out for a few hundred more rounds, I haven't had a single problem with this weapon whatsoever. Now the fit and finish of the Rock Island, again, I'm not a gun expert. I haven't handled thousands of guns, but I've seen a few. To me, the fit and finish looks good. You can see a few tooling marks when you open it up, but the parkerization looks good, nice and even. If you don't know, Rock Island actually is a partner or is owned by Colt. Colt uses Rock Island to make a lot of parts for their weapons, and in the deal, Rock Island actually bought the machines for the old Colt 1911s. So these are made off of old Colt machines. So, okay, for the specs on this one, this is a 5-inch barrel. This is the GI model. This has standard everything. Standard safety, standard hammer, standard backstrap, standard grip safety, standard trigger, standard combat sights. There is no frills with this gun. Everything is just as it would be if you were joining the military 50 years ago and they handed you a sidearm to go to Vietnam or Korea or wherever they were going to send you. This would basically be exactly value for this weapon. These sell for just over 400 bucks. Okay? 1911s are usually pretty expensive guns. Even the Taurus runs for about 600 bucks. And of course when you get into Springfields, Kimbers and stuff like that, you can easily push over 1,000 bucks for a nice 1911. Now they have a little more custom touches. You know, the different safeties and the different triggers and the different hammers and sights and grips, and you know, you can really rack up the price on one of these weapons. But for 400 bucks, a standard issue GI 1911 like this that actually works, it's to me it's a great value. So my personal opinion is this is a great weapon. This is my go-to gun of choice. I keep it next to the bed. I do carry it concealed often. I have the smaller version of this, the 3.5-inch barrel version of this that I actually carry daily. I like this gun. This is a great gun. Rock Island Armory's 1911 A1, a little over 400 bucks.